I'm happy that we made a new friendship, connected to more people at this conference. So, next up, it's something more on the responsible gaming side, and we have a great moderator for that, Mr. Dan Iliovici, a former regulator in Romania, a close friend of our conferences. So Dan, you can take over the session.
Hello. I kindly invite my distinguished panelists, Daniela, Marina, and Steven. Steven, you're a Dubliner.
Pardon?
You're a Dubliner.
A Dubliner, I most certainly am, yeah. Please. Right.
The previous panelists raised the standard so high that I'm a little bit nervous. But I learned that it's okay to feel uncomfortable. So I feel very uncomfortable, but I am very happy to have here my distinguished panelists. I kindly ask you, first of all, Zoltan, Marina missed her badge, so it was a minus for you. Yeah. Excellent conference, excellent organizers. I kindly ask you to get all of your badges down to Okay, I kindly ask you to introduce yourself, first of all, very shortly, because some of us have a plane to catch. And I would like to make this panel as interactive as possible. Feel free to ask questions. I kindly ask the audience to interrupt us, raising your hand and asking questions for our panelists. I will start with Daniela, very shortly.
Thank you. Very nice to be here, and I'm the person that needs to catch a plane, so cannot stay overtime. So Daniela Johansson, I'm the Deputy CEO of PAF. I have been in the gambling industry and working for PAF for over 20 years in various roles, but the last 7 years as a Deputy CEO. My passion is for sustainability, effectiveness in organizations and business.
Thank you, Marina.
Hi, my name is Marina Davidova. I'm working for Entain division Enlabs, and I'm head of customer support and responsible gambling. But most of my career was in customer support and operations and performance management. So and I've been in iGaming maybe for the last 6-7 years. So, yes, I'm very delighted to be here. It was like catching the last train because there was supposed to be my manager here, but he had to go to another conference, so that's why I don't have a badge. But happy to be here, yes, and I hope it will be a nice conversation.
We'll have fun. Yes. Our Dubliner.
And last but not least, so my name is Stephen Aupy. I represent Mindway AI. I'm actually the latest hire, working as business development manager for Mindway. Previous experience, I worked as VP of strategic partnerships for a company called Gambling Blocking Software. So my experience is really around being an RG expert, responsible gambling expert, collaborating with regulators, gambling operators, and treatment service providers. So happy to be part of the conversation today.
Thank you very much. It's a funny observation I had. During our school time, the first row seats were always empty. It's the same here. Everybody's almost everybody's in the back. Okay, my first question is for Daniela and Marina. Responsible gambling is a critical issue for the gambling industry. Collective efforts being made to promote safe and sustainable gambling. Could you please name one of the most important RG programs in your company? Projects aimed at a better player protection and prevention of problem gambling and addiction. Danielle.
It's a good question, but it's a difficult one as well. I don't really see that there is like one product or one measurement that is like the best and that will make everything work. I see it more as a totality from that perspective. If I look at PAF, we have been during the last years, we have tried to be really forward-leaning, trying to find new measurements, new projects, etc. And our last one is the loss limit, yearly loss limit with a cap.
We will come back to this
We will come
later.
back to that one. But also I think that, I mean, all the number of tools there are for the players, having a good responsible gaming strategy, proactive contacts, etc. I mean, all that kind of makes up to totality that is needed in order to have an efficient, responsible gaming strategy.
Excellent. So it's not one thing that it's a magical wand that makes things possible. Marina?
I actually totally agree, because I also see it as like a 360 degrees, you know, and there's not just one thing. And I come, like, as I said, from different backgrounds and departments, and I see it more than maybe anyone else. And in Entain, we have like a main program. It's Advanced Responsibility and Care Program, ARC, which is actually like a technology which combines behavior indicators, data science and analytics to assess the risks. Together with the artificial intelligence, we also use, in addition, Mindway as together with artificial intelligence to learn and identify the risk with the player and to intervene where it's necessary. But as Daniela says, it's not just one, and I always advocate for the human touch, you know. And in Entain we have a big department, and actually when we talk about regulations, we have to remember that the bigger the company, the bigger we have at stake, because we have a department of over 30 people, and there's a division for the policies and procedures, the division of analytics, RG analytics, and customer protection callers, specially trained with a psychologist background. And there's a division on the analytics reporting and regulation and compliance. So it's a big department, yes. And when we talk about ARC and technology, but I always said what I like about what we do in Entain, that after ARC and after the technology, there is also a human person who comes in and evaluates what the system discovered. And they check not just numbers, but they also check the papers, like any information that we have on the customer. We check customer affordability that we do, check in our company. We check source of funds, where he gets these funds to play. And we also check the customer communication, how often he communicates, what he communicates to customer support. So there's like, I like that it's a multi-layer system, and we don't just rely on like a technology and artificial intelligence, because as I said, I come from customer support, and I always say, for me, there is one indicator: does it harm the customer, or it doesn't? Will it be worse or better for the customer? So, what I also like that we don't stop on this system, and we don't close this topic, yes, but we constantly like develop, you know. And I know like we try to develop. Like this year, we already implemented in 10 countries the live interaction, like during this process. So it's not just the system that triggers something, but also we're trying to implement some live interactions. And all of this, and I have to say that it's lucky to be a big company, because we can base all of this on some kind of research from Cambridge, Harvard, from risk management. We use Mindway. So it's, in a way, we are lucky that we're a big company, you know, but some of the smaller company might not be such privileged.
Thank you very much. Stephen, I know why you're sitting next to Marina. It's a quote from your website. Mindway AI partners with operators and leading industry organizations with a clear mission to improve player protection in the gambling industry by combining neuroscience, AI, and human expert assessment. I personally strongly believe in prevention.
Yeah.
And I was happy to learn that the Game Scanner AI solution is aimed at the early detection of the risk and problem gambling. How do you measure the effectiveness of Game Scanner platform?
It's a great question, and yeah, Marina, you plugged us in nicely there. Thank you very much. Maybe you should work for Mindway. So yeah, games kind of, well, at Mindway, first and foremost, we use cutting-edge technology and expert assessment. We leverage that to address the issue of problem gambling in the global industry. We also leverage the use of artificial intelligence backed by neuroscience to address problematic gambling behaviours from a very early stage. And as Marina touched on there earlier, we like to intervene at an earlier point to alter that customer journey from being a problematic one and moving that customer database into a more sustainable place. In terms of efficacy now, that is a great question. I'll keep it quite vague because I'm only with the company about 3 weeks. But we do take various levels of details around metrics such as accuracy and precision. And when I say accuracy and precision, accuracy, we delve into the percentage of the customer base that have been accurately classified, and we look into that. We also take metrics around precision, what percentage of the customer base has been accurately determined as at risk or as a problem gambler. Given that we are working in the online gambling space, it is an industry that needs to be backed by evidence-based research. And we're very lucky to still have our in-house professor called Kim Morsden, who's our in-house neuroscientist, who constantly runs internal evaluations into our technology to make sure that our algorithm is working correctly and is constantly becoming more advanced and smarter with time. As Marina touched on there, we're very happy to be part of the Entain ARC Foundation. And as Entain grow their global footprint, we're also entering into new markets with them. So another way that we've actually, well, another massive benefit to us was, again, evaluation. Almost 2 years ago, I believe GLI conducted an evaluation onto the efficacy of our game scanner tool. And what that actually did for us was amplify our footprint into new and emerging markets. So we're very thankful for that. And as we move into the later part of this year, one of the great benefits of working with Mindway is we're always innovating in this space. So based on the internal evaluations, we are going to bring new offerings to the industry using our artificial intelligence with the game scanner tool.
Thank you very much. I think you are the only company which has a kind of auditing from a testing lab or like GLI.
Yes, well, so far so good, yes. I think that warrants another conversation with GLI as well, so yeah.
Okay, Daniela, path approach to RG is a result of research. So I always advocate evidence-based measures and evidence-based regulation. Unless somebody, yesterday was a discussion here about the Baltics, that there are countries here that completely banned advertisement. Is there any kind of research that banning advertisement brings down the number of problem gamblers or the addiction problem? I don't think so. But at PAF, your approach to RG is a result of research and active collaboration with the academic community. In 2015, PAF embarked on a 4-year partnership with the University of Stockholm to evaluate, among other aspects, the effectiveness of gaming tools, of RG gaming tools, and the attitude of the players towards these tools. The upshot from the research was that voluntary limits did not work. That's why mandatory caps were the only choice. PAF is implementing the annual loss limits that you mentioned earlier for the youngest players aged 18 and 19 from the current 10,000 euro loss per year to 1,800, which is a huge decrease in this. Could you please comment on this?
Yes, absolutely. And just to give some background info as well on the loss limits, because usually there's also some people always understand how they work. So of course also in PUF we have voluntary limits for the players, so they can have daily, weekly and monthly deposits and loss limits. In some regulation it's mandatory to set those, and in some it's voluntary. But the yearly loss limit is an effect of the research study that we did. It's also an effect of trying to kind of address the fact that the gambling industry is heavily relying on a small group of players that stands for a high amount of the GGR. This is well known. And also for us it was a bold measurement to kind of show this, and also kind of to take business impact of it, because of course it is so when you set the maximum amount that the players can lose yearly, it will have a business impact. We did this in 2018. It was 30,000 then, the yearly loss limit. Today it's 20,000, and we have announced now that we will in June lower it to 7,500. Last year we also implemented a 10,000 euro yearly loss limit for age 18 to 24. But now in June, as you said, we will then also have for the age group of 18 to 19 years old, 4,800. And the reason for focusing on the young players is because, I mean, there is evidence that this is a group that is vulnerable to problem play. And we also see kind of a demand from society, our owners, etc., that we need to protect this group. And this is one way of doing it. We also, along with this lowering of the yearly loss limit, we will also do some extra work and take some actions on also like interactions with the young players, and it feels the right thing to do. I mean, if you know an 18 to 19-year-old person, you know that it's a group that you want to protect.
Excellent. So you're raising the standard. You're not waiting for the regulator to come and impose some measures, but you're going ahead of the regulation. We will come back to this a little bit later. Marina, Entain is committed to better understand and reduce potential for problem gambling behavior. Your company is investing $5 million into a new partnership with Harvard Medical School's Division of Addiction over a 5-year period. Could you please elaborate on this? Which are the main objectives of this complex research? And I will make a very short comment on this, because 6 or 7 years ago, we in Romania gathered together some gambling associations and made a research with GfK, which is a very big market research company, regarding the gambling industry in Romania, the gambling market, the problem gambling, how big is the problem gambling issue in Romania. And I have to say that when we issued the results, nobody trusted, because they said, who paid for the research? Marina, please.
Yes, but the journey actually started many years ago. I think it was like 2009 when a guy called Manfred Bodnar, who was a co-founder of our ancestor company Bwin, went to Harvard himself actually and tried to convince them that research in this area is important for the whole industry, not just our company. Yes. So in the way he was visionary already back then, and we have this relationship for many, many years. And now we're actually already in the 4th year of this research, and they have been developing a number of research papers looking at the relationship between gambling and addiction. And if I start like talking about all of the areas, it will take too much time, but I will name maybe just a couple. And for example, patterns of normal gambling internet behavior. And what I like about this is that, you know, everyone is talking about abnormal behavior or addiction, but actually it was important back then to establish what is actually a normal internet behavior, you know, because the industry is young, and what is a norm before we started talking about what is not normal. And another one, like behavior markers of gambling problems among internet players, generally speaking, and also what is important, that they've done research for specific products. Because as we all know, there are different players and behaviors for sports, betting, for casino and slots, for poker, which is big in Entain, you know. They are different players, they are different metrics, they are different behaviors. So that's important to kind of to focus on those separate products. Sometimes players play just one of them. So, but I also want to mention that it's not just Harvard. We also have a relationship with Professor Mark Griffith, who is at Nottingham Trent University. And he also spent many years researching on the best ways how to interact with customers during their gambling journey, and what are the best tools, the best means what customers can use to control their gambling. And I also have to mention another, like a big group, Epic Risk Management group, who actually comes and does responsible gambling training within the Entain organization. And what I like about this group personally, that they are, as we call the lived experience experts. They actually, it was founded and run by the people who actually suffered from gambling harm themselves. So they bring this experience and expertise to recognize gambling problems and how to interact with the players, not in a patronizing way or in a scary way. Because when I see it in the customer support, that the customers can get scared. You know, they feel that they can be patronized when you intervene. After all, the algorithms and systems, they can just be sold for, I don't know, to another company and to another company, or to the alcohol or to the drugs, etc. So, and they help us to find a way when the customer can relate, when we can talk to them, etc. So, not just Harvard, but all of these like programs, you know. And going back to your questions, the objectives are all the same, and there are two main objectives. First, to be able to identify the problem gambler, and
as soon as possible.
Yes, and also to go back and analyze those algorithms, yes, and to make sure that we improve, you know. And second, to identify the best means how to interact. Whether it's to set a betting limit, whether to actually go and interact over the phone with the customer, or send him a message, or email, or like set up a time limit. So I will always advocate for the individual approach, and that's what I like, that we have many programs and people who we are able to choose this individual approach, because I'm a true believer that you know, one size cannot fit all.
Excellent, thank you. Stephen, first of all, I would like to ask the audience, how many of you gamble on a regular basis or from time to time? Here, you do?
No, I'm actually not.
Okay, I'm asking this because we in Romania, I also represent the Responsible Gambling Association. We are dealing with the responsible gambling projects for prevention, education, and treatment of problem gamblers. And me personally, I do not gamble like on a casino, but I do gamble on Forex. So it's the same thing. So now I can further understand the psychology behind the gambling, how the player is thinking, and so on. So I strongly advocate to gamble and to start gambling, and therefore you are able to see the other side of the coin, to put yourself in the place of the player. Stephen, it keeps me sometimes at night one question. Based on the large amount of data and experience at Mindway AI, do you have any evidence that there might be a specific type of personality that has a higher probability of developing addiction, whatever the object of this addiction might be, alcohol, impulsive buying things and so on. If the answer is yes, how can you help these people at early stages to avoid severe harm, and how can we protect them when they come to our website or in our gambling hall?
It's a good question. Probably one better for Professor Kim Morrison, to be honest, who's a neuroscientist. But yeah, to be honest with you, there's a wealth of information out there all about research into addiction and what traits come with that type of addiction. Based on my experiences and the interactions I've had over the last 5 years, which will touch on a few different things, most of the main traits that you see are people who have experienced significant trauma in their lives, people who are into thrill seeking, people who are coping with anxiety or depression. These are the main types of personalities that tend to be affected by gambling. The way compulsive gambling actually works, or the nature of the addiction, can sometimes be used because they're masking something. I have quite a unique perspective. Over the last few years in my previous role, we were dealing with Army veterans, both UK and US based. And there's strong ties with extreme trauma, especially active military personnel who've served in war zones like Afghanistan and stuff like that, where PTSD is actually linked to trauma, and people with PTSD are more susceptible to gambling harms. So the way we try to counteract that with Mindway is we deploy advanced machine learning and advanced algorithms to basically detect problematic behaviours at a very early stage, like Marina touched on. I think like early intervention is the best form of prevention. One of the best, well, the ways that we do that is we give every customer a risk vulnerability assessment or a tag, and that tag basically allows us to see whether somebody is suspected to be vulnerable or actually is vulnerable. And what we then do is, if we see somebody who is vulnerable, we will tweak our game scanner tool to actually look to start interacting with that person in a positive note, like again Marina touched on there. And another thing that we do to actually find out early stages of detection, in fact we don't talk about our other tool quite enough. We have a tool called Gamalize. For most operator platforms, operators tend to have generic 10 questionnaire, 10 questions in a questionnaire for anyone who thinks they may be harmed by gambling to answer these questions. So what we do is we send our Gamalize tool, which is actually a gamified card game, over to the player. The players play this card game, and by the end of it they're actually given a risk score. So they can't actually lie to themselves or lie to anyone around them. And based on that risk score, we can say, well, listen, this is what we've got. Well, this would be the operator who would reach out and offer different resources or different forms of treatment or care and so on and so forth. So that's how we kind of mitigate that.
Thank you, excellent. Daniela, if I would be in your marketing team at PAF, I would like to have as many customers as possible, to keep them online as long as possible, to take as much money as possible from them.